Hello, everybody. Today I'm going to go over the injuries first this time. And just because the Ravens have a ton, like this team is so beat up, it's insane. So just for the ones, you have Rashad Perriman, who did not practice due to a concussion. Matt Skura, a guard slash center, didn't practice due to a knee. Jimmy Smith didn't practice today because of an Achilles. Ronnie Stanley didn't practice for what they are calling a mouth injury, which I thought was a little different. Um, and just because we're all anticipating the return of this guy, Mike Wallace, he was limited today with a back injury, and so was Jeremy Maclin with a shoulder. Both tight ends, Benjamin Watson and Max Williams, did not practice. Watson due to a knee and Williams due to an ankle. And then Terrence West didn't practice due to a calf. And Tim Williams also didn't practice today because of a thigh. And then you talk about their IR. They have 15 players on IR right now. And that consists of the cornerback, Brandon Boykin, inside linebacker, Bradley Bam, Maurice Kennedy, another corner, Kenneth Dixon, the running back, Crockett Gilmore, tight end, Brandon Kublanow, a center, Alex Lewis, a guard and tackle, Stefan Nembot, another tackle, is on IR. You have Sheldon Price, a corner, Nico Saragusa, another guard, Brent Urban, a defensive end, wide receiver, Tim White, Danny Woodhead, Marshall Yonda, and another corner, and Tavon Young. So compare that to what we have thus far. We have Floyd and Diggs did not practice today. We have Floyd out with a hamstring, and Diggs is still out with the groin. Nick Easton also didn't practice again because of a calf. Sam Bradford obviously not practicing, which is kind of weird because if you told me at this time prior to the season that Teddy be practicing today and not Sam Bradford, that would have been a little weird. But Barr didn't practice today, concussion and ankle held him out. Rhodes, Alexander, and Sendejo, all in the secondary, were all limited, but so Rhodes was limited with a shoulder. I imagine he plays. Alexander with a hip, he probably plays, but him being the slot corner, that could be a problem with the hip. And then Sendejo still dealing with a groin, but it looks like he'll probably come back. And then Lemur and McKinnon were listed on the injury report, but both were full participants in said practice. So keep that in mind as we go through everything else. And so going through everything else, statistically, the Ravens are 29th in total offense with 289.2 yards a game, 31st in passing offense, 159.7 yards a game, and the two rushing stats for both of these, for offense and defense for Baltimore, really surprised me. The rushing offense is 129.5 yards a game thus far, which ranks 7th in the league. And then their defense is 16th total. We knew it was pretty good. They're allowing 330.8 yards a game. They're 5th in passing defense with 189.5 yards a game allowed. And their rushing defense is actually 30th in the league with 141.3 yards a game with a 5.2 yards per carry average on them. That one really surprised me. And then going to ours, we currently have the 10th total offense in the league, averaging about 356 yards a game. The passing offense is 238.8 yards per game. The rushing offense is 117.2 yards a game, which I think equals like a 4.1-ish average, 4.2 maybe. And the total defense is 5th in total defense for us at 295.5 yards allowed a game. 14th passing defense at 216.8 yards a game. And the third-ranked rushing defense, my bad, at 78.7 yards per game with only a 3.2 yards per carry allowed. So also just a note, with Diggs and Floyd being out, or potentially out, Tread has a chance to actually show that these flashes can be a thing. Because last week he was only targeted 3 times, and I think the one that we're all going to talk about is the one-hander. But I think the other 2 were actually better because I think that's what we're going to see on a very game-to-game basis with him if he actually shows up. Because there was a 12-yard in that was very contested with him, and then there was also that he had a great route on that corner that was like for 18 yards. So I think if we can get that Treadwell, I think we can salvage. We might be able to salvage. So that would be really good. And we need to take advantage of the Baltimore Ravens offense. I know the numbers with the 7th ranked rushing offense. That's not necessarily what I mean because they do have 12 giveaways this year. So our defense in Minnesota, let's get some turnovers, boys. And we need to play a turn. We cannot turn the ball over because I'm looking mainly at Keenum and McKinnon because Keenum, I know he's been playing well this year, but we still need to proceed with caution. It's still Case Keenum. So, and then the other one I look at is McKinnon. He's caught the fumbleitis so far this year because he hasn't fumbled before this season. He's already fumbled 3 times, and I think he's lost 2. So it's not it's that needs to kind of ramp up a bit because we need to not do that against this defense. Uh, but I do think McKinnon has a chance to shine again because of their 30th ranked rushing defense. I mean, they're allowing 5.2 yards per carry, even though we don't have Nick Easton. Nick Easton isn't necessarily your all-pro guard, so we should be okay there because I'm not really that big on Easton anyway, so to me there's really barely a difference between Easton and Searles because I both view them as kind of the same. I think Isidore is better, but that's for another day. But yeah, that gives McKinnon another chance to shine though. And maybe it gives Murray a chance. Who knows? Who knows with Latavius Murray? Like it's obviously not a real good fit. It's a zone scheme. He doesn't have the hips to be in a zone scheme. He can't change direction fast enough. He doesn't have the cutback. So it's obviously not a scheme fit. There's a 1-year opt out. I imagine he's gone after this year. So, but maybe he has a chance. Just so we know, this game will be a defensive game, judging how this kind of stacks out. Because I think overall our offensive line is pretty average, which it seems really good to us, but just in contrast to last year, I think in general it's pretty average. So, which I think is what we kind of were aiming for during the offseason. So we're gonna look at it as a defensive game, which means special teams. That's gonna be very, very, very important, whether it's kick returning, punt returning, kicking, punting. So, and you look at they have 2 all pros at kicker and punter essentially, or 2 at least Pro Bowl caliber players, because we know Justin Tucker is an all pro caliber and Cook is probably Pro Bowl at the very least. So they already win the field position game and they can probably make us a little bit one dimensional. And I think they have one of the top kick returning units in the entire league. So special teams might make or break this game. And the Ravens do have 16 sacks on the year, and that's 2.6 sacks a game. So maybe this is a legitimate test for our line, essentially. So that should be a little interesting to watch. And even though this doesn't have to do with this game, I mean, it does, but I mean, if Murray struggles, do they make a move for another back? Because personally, I love the idea of trying to get Shane Vereen in here because I know that would be a trade, but Shane Vereen isn't being used in the Giants offense anymore. I don't know why. Orleans Darkwa has seemed to kind of taken over, so I would view Shane Vereen as almost a perfect fit for this offense. So honestly, like if we can get Shane Vereen or D'Angelo Williams in the building, I don't see why not if Latavius continues to struggle. So that's one thought on that. I would really love to know your guys' opinions on that one because I know that's kind of a weird thing to bring up kind of mid-season. But my prediction is Minnesota will win this game 20-13, kind of more on the lower scoring side. I just think that this is a game we should win with how beaten and battered this team is. So it's because I mean they have 10 people who are either did not practice or limited today in practice, and then you have another 15 on IR. So this team is just so beaten and battered. So I would think this is a game at home. We should win this game. So 20-13 is my prediction. I would love to know your guys' thoughts, so please comment, subscribe, and like this video, and also follow me on Twitter at Brian_Spatafora, and I will see you guys the next time. I bid you farewell.